You're watching News at Prime. Let's bring you this discussion now. The Democratic Alliance continues to stand behind Basic Education Minister Siviwe Gwarube's decision to agree to Solidarity's deal on two contentious clauses of the BELA Act. President Cyril Ramaphosa insisting that the deal has no bearing in law, while the party says the presidency was part of the deal and signed it off. The deal, facilitated by NEDLAC, relates to language and admission policies in schools. DA spokesperson is Willie Aucamp, who joins us now from Gauteng. Mr. Aucamp, good evening to you and thank you for your time. Why do you believe so strongly that this agreement is binding on all of the parties that may not necessarily agree with what has been agreed upon in inverted commas at NEDLAC?
Good evening, colleague. Yeah, NEDLAC is a statutory process, and we have seen many times in the past when trade unions have a dispute with government that they made use of the NEDLAC process, and that is exactly what Solidarity as a trade union has done in this instance. Now, we must remember that NEDLAC it stands for the Development and Labour Council. It is the vehicle by which government, labour, business and community organizations seeks to cooperate through problem solving and negotiations on economic, labour, development issues, etc. So that is exactly what Solidarity has done here. They, in terms of the law, they notified the government that they want to go on a strike due to BELA. Government was then forced to implement the NEDLAC provisions that aims for dialogue in this matter. And this is what happened. So Solidarity as the trade union, the Minister of Basic Education in her capacity as minister, as well as representatives from the presidency, the Deputy Director General within the presidency, formed part of this negotiations with regard to NEDLAC to see how they can come to an agreement in order to prevent strikes and to sort this out. And that is what happened here. So NEDLAC is a statutory process and everybody is bound to agree to that. So this is what happened. This was not only a bilateral agreement between the DA or Solidarity or whatever. It's been an agreement that was reached in terms of the law with a trade union and government, as well as the presidency as part of government.
Mr. Aucamp, I'm not going to waste much time doing a back and forth with you. I want us to listen to the executive director of NEDLAC, Lisa Seftel. She was on this show last night, and what she seems to suggest here, if you strip everything to its bare bones, is that what NEDLAC sought to do was to prevent a strike action. And let's have a listen to her in her own words about whether or not this deal is binding.
The agreement does not bind the parliamentary process or the GNU process or the president or the clearinghouse or the deputy president or anybody else for that matter. It is an agreement between Solidarity and the Minister of Basic Education about the issues that she should raise with the president as a solution to this matter.
The agreement does not bind. Those are key words. So you tell us, from which standpoint do you come in and you say this is a statutory body and therefore this is an agreement on these contentious clauses?
Firstly, it is the president's prerogative to adhere to these recommendations or to ignore it. But this is a statutory process, which means it is set out by law, which aims to resolve problems. And if you look at what has been said about the implementation of Clause 4 and Clause 5 of the BELA Act, it is clear from day one that there are a number of contentious issues. So NEDLAC aimed to iron out a lot of those issues. And it seems as if a sensible agreement has been reached by the parties that was part of that NEDLAC agreement. The president can still decide to ignore it or to implement it. But I think it would be unwise if one ignores the outcome of a well-negotiated agreement that you as the president formed part of with your Deputy Director General being there. What was the idea of having the Deputy Director General within the presidency who got a mandate from the presidency to sign that agreement if one is not going to try to implement this?
Yeah.
So this is what we say from the Democratic Alliance side is, let's see what was negotiated at NEDLAC. We believe that that is a sound solution, a win-win for everybody, and take it from there.
Well, I want us to listen to the president's own words. He was asked about this at the weekend. Take a listen to what he said.
In the end, the president has signed the bill, and I've given 3 months for solutions to be found, and those solutions have to be credible. They have to be solutions that everyone buys into, and my resolve in having given people an opportunity to find solutions should never be abused. It should never be diverted. It should never be downplayed. I am quite resolute in saying that come the 31st of December, if there's no solution, what I signed into law is activated.
Mr. Aucamp, I think what is clear here, in addition to what President Ramaphosa said in his own words there, his office, furthermore, issued a statement where they say this agreement has no bearing in law. And so it's important for the Democratic Alliance, perhaps, to pull back on this PR, if it is what you are on at the moment. Pull back, because this is sowing confusion in the public sphere. Do you not agree with that?
No, I do not. Sorry, to use the president's own words, all the parties must come to a sensible agreement. That is what the president said there. This process through NEDLAC was done to get to a sensible agreement, precisely what the president is asking for. And then one should not forget that the NEDLAC process is binding upon the union, Solidarity, or any other union for that matter. If they want to go on a strike, they must, by law, I think it's section 77 of that law, they must engage with NEDLAC in an opportunity to try and see whether they can get a resolution. So this was not done to undermine anybody, especially not the president. The president did not implement Clause 4 and Clause 5, and he asked for consultation to take place.
Yeah.
Now, the NEDLAC process runs parallel with the process within the clearinghouse. The NEDLAC process, by law, must have been followed. So it's not as if somebody is ignorant of the law or arrogant and just acting on their own behalf. This must have been followed. And we believe that the agreement that was reached was a sensible one. And again, we must ask ourselves, why did the president's own Deputy Director General obtain a mandate and sign that agreement? Why would the Director General or the Deputy Director General sign which he or she does not have a mandate for?
Yeah.
This is a statutory NEDLAC process, and that is what we are all looking for. So I agree with the president in the sense that we must look for a sensible solution to this.
Well, I suppose these are the issues that you perhaps have got to take up through that clearinghouse structure. But final question to you. The EFF seems to be saber-rattling. They are threatening to go to court to make sure, in their own words, that the BELA Act is implemented in its original form. Is your intention to challenge them if indeed they do make a good on their promise to go to court?
The Democratic Alliance said from day one that we are opposed to Clause 4 and Clause 5. And we will always use any means available to us. We are a party for the rule of law. If the EFF wants to go to court, it is absolutely in their prerogative to do so, but it will also be in ours or Solidarity or any other affected parties' own prerogative whether they will oppose any actions like that. We are currently bound and we bound ourselves to the process that was set out by the president as well as the processes of the law. The DA is not a part of this NEDLAC agreement because political parties never can be. But I want to refer you, Tolly, to many times in the past when COSATU or SATU or trade unions had to make use of the NEDLAC process. Not once in the past that I'm aware of has a decision of NEDLAC not been implemented. And we hope that everybody will see this attempt to get to a solution as a credible attempt and that it will be implemented.
Willie Aucamp.
And all of a sudden the lights went out here where I am, so you must excuse me.
Not a problem, but thank you very much for accommodating us. He did share with us before going on air that he's actually at a petrol station somewhere in Gauteng. He's on his way to Tabazimbi, by the way.